All right, last but not least, we've come to the end of the trail again. Next up is Bryan Borland. Bryan's going to be back and clean up for us tonight. Bryan is another old friend of Cover Parish who has apparently seen our blessings smile upon him of late. His first book, My Life as Adam, was selected last year as one of only 5 books of poetry included on the American Library Association's Over the Rainbow list of the best gay and lesbian writing of 2010. Meanwhile, his publishing outfit, Still Building Rivalry Press. Where am I doing with my titles here? Sibling Rivalry Press is doing very well, as you can see. And the 3rd issue of Asarakis, the poetry journal he edits, is going to be out in July. Okay? So let's hear it for Bryan now that I've mangled his
lesson. Before I start, I just want to everybody give a round of applause to David for doing this. It's been a great night. And you know, the benefit of going last is that everybody's drunk and I'm drunk, and so it's just a good time. It's just full of love, guys. My book, My Life as Adam, it's a collection of 70 poems. It deals with Southern life, religion, sexuality, family, self-acceptance. And I'm going to read one poem from the book because I've read poems from it the last 2 years of Cover Parish, and I wanted to read some new stuff for you guys. But if I had to pick one poem from the book, it's a piece called Flawed Families in Biblical Times. And what you need to know about Adam is it's centered around the death of my brother when I was 13, and that was the same year that I realized that I was gay. And so I was struggling with these dynamics in my family and the battling these things within myself. So this is a poem that I think epitomizes my life as Adam the best: Flawed Families in Biblical Times. They're wonderful now, but when I told them I was gay, my mother demanded God's reasons for striking her grandchild bearer dead. Manly loins, fertile and righteous, impeded by my barren inclinations, her last straight hope zooming past as she traveled the stages of grief from the passenger seat. My future like a tornado-ravaged town with collapsed houses on the bodies of grandsons and granddaughters, crumpled white picket fences wrapped around the dead who looked like Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. My father, he took the proactive approach and said if I tried, I could find a butch woman with a mustache or a petite little thing, small-chested like a freshman. He could coach me around the bases. Close your eyes, son, and you'll never know. My grandpa spoke of it with the hushed words of a repressed war memory. I was Hitler, I was Mussolini, I was Tojo and Kono. He saw me in grotesque scenes with a fat man and a little boy, pink triangles lost on his sensibilities. I was Hiroshima aftermath to his peacetime America. Pacific Rim foreign on toes, farm kid strong. The flag at the post office flying half-mast while taps played solemn and survivors wept. My grandmother didn't change at all, stringing me out with sugar and buttercream together until I saw visions of her worshipped in another time, a one named siren in a bar surrounded by my people, dirty jokes and colored hair. God, we would have loved her. I think that homosexuality is genetic, a decadent recipe passed down to diabetic queens of the family. I never went hungry. Thank you, Grandma. I still wonder what he'd say, my brother, who arranged my G.I. Joes in sexual positions, who explained biology with pornographic magazines, who knew before anyone but left before I could truly make an appearance. When we play hide and seek as children, I always ended up in the closet. He would help me out gently. I think it was a sign. These next 2 poems I'm going to dedicate to Jerry Koch and the Arkansas Family Council. The first one is called An Outsider's Guide to Gay Marriage. Monday, he wakes me after he showers with a hand on my stomach. He smells like soap and coffee. Tuesday, he cuts the grass. I meet him at the door with water, towel the sweat from his forehead. On Wednesday, we sit on the sofa, my feet on his lap. We watch too many hours of reality television and go to bed early. On Thursday, I show him again the easiest way to chop an onion. I make chicken soup, he cleans the dishes. We fold laundry and play with our cats. On Friday, we meet after work for dinner. It is date night. We talk about the week and plan our grocery list. Saturday morning, we sleep late. I indulge myself in his warmth, feel protected in his orbit. Then it is Sunday. More chores around the house, our schedules built to end the day with desperate housewives and a plate full of food, the same as every other house on the block. This next poem is called We Planted These Trees by Hand, and until this past week, Act 1 in Arkansas banned cohabitating couples from fostering or adopting children. And, it's funny that a lot of these kids raised in same-sex households, they do pretty well. So this is written from the perspective of one of those kids raised by same-sex parents. Dumbass 1 asks the questions I hear most. Which one is the woman? Which one do you call Ma? I ask him back, which one of your parents take it from behind? Dumbasses 2 and 3 turn like wolves, growling laughter. I get this mostly from the guys. Girls sometimes too, when they travel in packs and sharpen their teeth on anything different. Longer socks, new haircut, 2 dads. I can see it in their eyes though, jealous of my solid pair to their awkward 4, to their bickering 3, to their lonely 1, and weekend visitations. No step monsters in my house, just footballs and violins, rooms full of the smell of baking bread and used books. I can name the last 20 secretaries of state. My batting average is .35. I know my home wasn't created by a 6-pack and a busted rubber. My folks fought for me. Who fought you into existence? Now, this next set of poems is different from the stuff that I normally read, and it's the first time I'm reading these in public. In December of 2009, I lost my father. He died suddenly after a traffic accident. And I turned to writing as a way to cope, and thank God I had it. It was my therapy. It really got me through the last year. And the result of those poems is a manuscript that'll see the light of day sometime next year, probably. It's called Less Fortunate Pirates, Poems from the First Year Without My Father. And this is a selection of poems from that manuscript. The first one's called Social Network Obituary. And it's interesting what we do on social networks now, like Facebook. I announced my father's death on Facebook, right or wrong. I did. That's how I got word to friends. So here's Social Network Obituary. My status is a messenger of death. My status is the Grim Reaper. My status is draped in mourning. My wonderful father has died. My status is an eye soldier at the doorstep of distant cousins and college roommates, a folded JPEG flag in his pixelated hands. I am grateful for your sympathy. My status is an MP3 of bells tolling to alert 6 degrees of strangers that a connection has been lost, that our number of friends has decreased by 1. You know, when you lose someone, it's common to replay moments in your head, and you assign meaning to them, and you replay things. And this next poem is called Recalling a Last Conversation Between Father and Son. I am angry at myself for not staking his words to my hollow chest, so that these spaces of excavation and mental archaeological digs would hold more artifact. We talked for 5 minutes, joking about mortality and the missing spines of politicians. The rest, I'm not sure. Layers scraped away by the trowel of sleepless nights, Dreamlike words hanging like dust in my throat, as reliable as the stories we give to bones found buried in the sand. And probably the most interesting and maybe difficult thing about losing my dad was watching my mother and watching her cope. And one of the weirdest things was when men from her past started contacting her. Old high school sweethearts would call her and with the guys were checking on her, but they'd ask her out and she'd say no. But that brought out this part of me that I'd never felt before. And I want to be the cool kid and say, Mom, cool, do whatever you want, but I don't really think that. So this next one is called "The Day a Man Asked My Mother on a Date." She says it's too early, that she won't consider it. I grind my teeth and urge the ghost of my father to scare away the vultures. I cannot fathom the thought of a stepfather, step-siblings, step-holidays in the homes of step-strangers, with exchanges of pleasantries and awkward gifts. So I stockpile hammers, screwdrivers, nail guns. With each swing, I fantasize of shooting them all with dirty looks, of offering crushing handshakes with wrecking ball pats on their unfamiliar, not my father, backs. The paint is still wet in the living room. I have hinges to replace. We're busy remodeling with changes I suggest. Nothing else new can enter. And this is another poem I wrote after watching my mom cope. It's called "The Day We Do Not Choose Your Headstone." We buried you in Monticello, in the plot that has grown a garden of family. No longer the single Christmas bouquet my mother places on my brother's grave each December. In the spring, we said the ground was wet, too damp to set a stone. We have no excuse in the summer, when the long, hot days crack the dirt beneath the good shoes we drag. I am ready. She is not, so we are not ready. I think it is her own mortality she cannot face, her name etched beside his, one date known, the other, and everything else unknown. My dad, when he was just out of college, taught history to young kids for a while. And out of that period, he developed a great appreciation for the Civil War. So in some of these poems that I wrote, I really wanted to honor him by including things that he loved, but I also wanted to record what I was going through myself. This is called "Arkansas Post and Other Battles of the Civil War." 9 months in, I allow myself time to inspect the horror of what has become history. You rolled the window down. You climbed out with your bad knees. You lost feeling in the water among leaves and branches, a place momentarily as foreign to you as southern rivers to Union soldiers. But you died at home there, like Confederate boys wounded in the same woods where they played army as children. From the distance you traveled, I know you fought to live. This is documented and recorded. These are historical facts children of the future will study. And, my dad's death was sudden. I know that there are other situations, and my friends have gone through things where their parents have passed away, and it's been through long battles with illnesses or short battles with illnesses, but there's been different time frames. And I've wondered which is better. My mind goes there and I think, well, is it better to lose them quickly, or would I rather have had a little time to say the things I wanted to say? So I wrote this next poem. It's called "Spared," and it's from the perspective of a family who went through the opposite of what we went through, a long battle with an illness. Another one yesterday. Another sympathetic doctor, another nurse in tears despite her hardened arteries. Thus it begins, the planning of a death at some unknown point, weeks or months or years from now. the slow snuffing out of life, the pragmatic brother with the carpool spreadsheet, colored cells, who will take dad to chemotherapy, altered cells, who will police the family meals and remove all talk of disease, who will scrub his clothes to rid them of the stains of hospital waiting rooms and fevered incontinence, another one pancreas, another one liver, who will be the first to think of medical bills in the unmentionable context of our dwindling inheritance, who will be strong enough to see frailty, another one lung, another one blood, who will spend lunch hours hunched over keyboards, reading words like terminal and metastasize and radiation and the size of a walnut, who will rationalize the slow burn, be thankful of goodbyes, be grateful of the order of finality known long in advance. And this next one is the final poem in Less Fortunate Pirates, and I want to dedicate it to my friends Lamar and Elena who are here, who both lost their dads around the same time I did. So I appreciate you guys coming out for me, and Lamar, I know this is especially tough for you, so thank you very much. It's called What I Want You to Know. We are lucky. We have mapped our survival like fortunate pirates. We have found him in treasure unexpected, an inherited kitten, the swell of farmland. We miss him with a terrible ache, but our lives have fallen back to the amber grass like leaves tossed in the air. We've learned taxes and mechanics, the things made larger in the sudden absence of a good father. For whatever reason, 2 weeks before he died, I asked him, "What would I do without you?" He said, "You'd be okay."